Hey guys, meet Jon Hersel here. Jon is the head strength coach at Saraland High School in Alabama. He's been Miami, LSU, Ole Miss, old IMG. He's done a little bit of everything, but he's taken that D1 approach to the high school there in Saraland and has built a really, really great program. Jon, excited for you to be on the Coach Spotlight today.
Hey, Coach, I appreciate you getting in touch with me and having me on.
Jon, give me, just what was the vision when you came to Saraland?
When I first got to Saraland, they were a very successful and established program, and I was brought in to help boost everything for as far as my school aspect of all their sports performance and strength and conditioning, and then so I came in fall of 17, came in August, so I didn't get really have a chance to do a whole lot with that team, and then in the off season we really started working and doing a lot of different stuff and changing things up just because I brought a much different approach than what was here before. Not that what was here before was bad, but it was I saw some things that I could change up and do a lot more for our athletes. And then in the summer of 2019, we had our athletic performance center get opened up, and we've got a 5,000 square foot weight room. I've got 40 stations in there, and we've got a regulation width by 37-yard long turf area here, so I'm able to do a lot of different stuff when it comes to speed work, doing medicine ball throws, doing movement work, jumps, anything you can possibly do. So it's really been great to be here during that and see that change.
I've heard you say this before that your goal really, or what you emphasize, is sprinting, jumping, and throwing every day. Talk a little bit about how you've integrated that into, or why that's the foundation of your program.
Well, I think that you need to get athletes doing those three things: sprint, jump, throw every single day, because when they're playing, as vitally important as strength is and everything else, if they can't use that and they can't display that strength by turning it into power, then you might just be creating a weight room warrior. And that's not what anybody wants, because that isn't what wins football, baseball, volleyball games, track meets, or anything like that. Strength is vitally important. However, I want our athletes to be able to express it through sprinting, jumping, and throwing, because I know if they can sprint fast, if they can jump high or jump far, and that they can throw a medicine ball, either going for height or for distance, I know that they're probably going to be pretty strong and they're pretty athletic. And that's one of the things that I try to look at with our athletes, is just developing a little bit more athleticism than just bring them in and having them work out.
I think obviously when you say that you're working on those three things, showing the athletes or showing the coaches their improvement has been a big part of that. I know you agree with tracking and presenting and encouraging them through their data. You obviously use RockDaisy. You've got your profile kind of built up there on the screen. Talk a little bit about the components of that, and what are some of the things that have stood out to you through your tracking.
Well, one of the things about Rock Days is that it'll give you, when you start, if you do like a team dashboard, it'll give you the very, very baseline of anything that you select. Where if it's low bar back squat, if it's your 5 to 10 speed for your flies or whatever, it will give that to you, and then it'll allow you to track that over time. And you can click on it, it'll give you a chart, and it'll show you everything. Right here, I've got a one of my dashboards pulled up, and it's just some of our KPIs that I look at for as far as our 10 to 10 fly times, 12-inch depth jump, 15 to 10, 20 to 10. Looking at doing some box squat, you're just looking at their concentric power, 1 RM hang plane, and then estimated 1 rep max for a back squat, as well as a multi-grip bench press. And one of the reasons why I like it is because you can print this out to know what their Madden score is, or what their player profile score is, and everything. And that's one of the things that these kids see that, and then, well, how can I get it better? So it provides some motivation for them to really work hard on different aspects. And obviously, guys are limited based off their age, maturity level, different things as they're growing and going through high school. But I find it's a great way to help motivate guys. And then I use my RockDaisy dashboards every single day. Whenever I use them, I print them off, I put them up, I record it, rank it, publish it, just like Tony Holler says. And I do that anytime that we run. I try to get everything. I try to run the report, get it printed, and then the next day the guys will come in and they'll actually see where they were at, with everything that we are doing for as far as what we were tracking with our 5 to 10s or 10 to 10s or whatever we're doing that day, or even their player profiles.
Yeah, that gamification is one of the biggest drivers in athlete motivation for sure. You and I were talking a little bit prior to recording about noticing some of the trends and how that's helped support you with your athletes, showing them the importance of training within the team or training within the program or not doing too much outside of the building that might be detrimental. Talk a little bit about how you've taken that Fly 10 data and been able to have really good conversations with your athletes.
Well, one of the things that I've seen is that by having the Fly 10 data right there and being able to track it and go consistently over time, I was telling you this spring, there were some guys that had on the team that I knew that they were doing outside work and they were doing a bunch of stuff. And I sat there and I looked at their 5 to 10s, their 10 to 10s, 15 to 10s, 20 to 10s. And for a while there, they went 6 to 8 weeks without hitting their average. And I knew that they were doing a bunch of outside lifting, doing a bunch of skill work, 7-on-7 stuff, doing, outside speed work type stuff with other people. And I had to sit there and have a conversation with those guys and talk to them about what they're doing outside. So I encourage our kids, if they want to go outside and they want to do other things to help fill the buckets that we can't because of the limited amount of time that I have them, I'm fine with that. But you can't keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expect to really get better at it when you're not allowing yourself to recover, even for a high school kid. And they can recover really fast. So it allowed me to have those conversations with our kids as well as with our head coach. So I was able to go to him and I was like, hey, we've got spring ball starting up right now. And based off of what I'm seeing from the data, is that these guys are getting slower and we need these guys to have a good spring so they can actually potentially play or push to get playing time, whether it's contributing on special teams or however they're able to get on the field. We need these guys to be as healthy and as fresh as can be. So it allowed our head coach to have those conversations with some of those athletes and with the team, talking about the different things that we're doing and why we're doing them.
I think that's one of the toughest things because we're athletes, they want to get better. And as a coach, you want them to get better, right? And sometimes for them to make that improvement, you have to pull back on some of the things that they're doing. And it's one of the hardest things to do because you're as a coach, you're constantly trying to push and they want that. But data sometimes is the only way to be able to give them some sort of visualization, to show them some sort of data driven results is the only way to really to make that connection for them. But RockDaisy has been a big part of what you've been building there. Talk a little bit just about how that's made your life simpler.
Well, it's having Rock Daisy makes everything simpler, especially because with my speed data. Whenever I'm doing my 5 to 10s, because during the school year, during the spring, because we have that covered turf, and it's literally you just go through a double door and you're on the turf. So I'll have my dasher timing system set up out there, and we'll have 4 different lanes going at once. And I'll have kids. I've taught them how to, enter in their ID number, so that way it tracks everything. So now instead of me having to export that to Excel, sort everything, sort all the data, and then me go through it myself. And I got to the point where I could get 100 kids done in about 10 minutes. But Rock Daisy and having all that data, it's where it shows you a chart, and it will show you, okay, did they hit a PR? Were they faster than their average time? What was their average time? And it'll actually tell you the days on there to where I know that certain days during the spring our offensive and defensive linemen, they were doing something different than our skill and mid skill guys, to where they were doing or just doing something a little bit separate. And I'm able to look at that and like, oh, why does this kid have missed time right here? Was he absent? Oh no, that was a Wednesday, and I know that they were doing this, whereas our skill and mid skill guys they were doing a focused, speed workout. And and that's one of the things that's really helped me with that. Another thing that I've been able to look at is right now with Tony Villani, who's a good friend of mine. Everybody's getting into the fly tins, and I love them. Tony's doing it, Tony Holler's doing it, and everything. I had a spring-based football clinic down here, during the spring, and those guys are absolutely phenomenal. Great friends, great people, and they're willing to answer any question you have. So I've been doing a lot of fly tens. Well, I've taken some of Tony's game speed principles and started applying them to my fly tens, whether it's 5 to 10 or 10 to 10, especially with my football guys, because I want to see how fast they can get up to speed and then how fast they can stop. And and that's one of the things that I've really started looking at is when you take your guys and you just take your athletes and just have them run through. They're trying to run hard, they're focusing on that. But what I found is that the vast majority of my athletes, I'd have to say probably 90 to 95% of my athletes, when I add in that stop, where they have to be stopped by, if they're doing a 5 to 10, they have to be at a dead stop by 20 yards. I'll have 90 to 95% of my athletes, they'll run, they'll either set a PR they'll be faster than their average time as if they were just running through. And that's one of the things that I really want to see because I want to see how fast they can not only sprint, but I want to know, can they stop? Can they change direction? Because a lot of people can run fast, but they can't stop and they can't change directions and therefore end up being out of position and you can make a lot of bad things happen. Whereas I focus on our guys, we're going to move and we're going to move really, really well. We're going to focus on being able to put on the brakes, stop, reaccelerate, and go from there. And that's one of the things that it's really helped our kids understand why we're doing it. And we were talking before we started recording. Right now, like our defensive coordinator, he's in charge of our kickoff team. He's using that data. He wants to see who can run down there, who can hit top speed, and then who can actually stop. Because those are the guys that are going to allow us to have potentially the best tactical advantage when we're on kickoff, and that can allow us to change some of the things that we may do scheme wise for as far as where we're going to kick the ball. We're going to kick it deep.
Right.
Are we going to pooch kick it? Are we going to sky kick it over here? And we've done that before in the past, and we've had those decisions made off of is this guy over here going to be because we want him to possibly get this sky kick over here, and it's worked out for us. So that's how our coaches are using it.
I mean, anytime I've had a coach in my head coach in my past that anytime we introduced a new tool into the equation, his question was always, "How's this going to help us win?" And anytime that you can use something to help make some tactical decisions, it makes that correlation easier and that support more from that coaching staff, that athletic director, the president, whatever it might be. And I couldn't agree with you more on that. If you were going to go back or you're giving advice to a younger coach that's just coming into their first situation from the beginning, what advice would you have to be able to run a program that's data driven like you have and the tools that they need to have to be able to do that?
The biggest thing would be focus on one thing at a time. Focus on getting your program established. Don't change everything at once. You just start making small changes. And then once you get your program established, because one of the things that I've seen over 25 years of being in this field is that you'll have people go in, they try to change everything at once, and then it takes twice as long to get their program established or for get the athletes buy-in. So, take your time and really establish your program. Get really, really good at doing a couple things because once you get the athletes bought in on that, then you can start making some major changes that you may want to make from the beginning. But then you can start making a lot of different changes and and really get that buy-in and have it go a lot further in the end. Or as far as data, when you're collecting stuff, whatever you're collecting, just be consistent. Best place to find me is on Instagram, Saraland_strength. I try to post multiple videos of our kids training. During the school year, you'll see everything. You'll see the good, you'll see the bad, you'll see the ugly, and you'll see the oh my God, what was that? Because I want to post everything. I want to post when I post stuff, when I film stuff, it is real life. It's not. I'm just going to get the kid that has the best technique. You're going to see everything because we'll have when our football team's in here, we'll have close to 100 kids in here lifting at one time at a time. So somebody's going to be doing something wrong. And I want to, when I try to do it to showcase all of our athletes, I want people to see our girls when they're, rolling up their sleeves, when they're knocking out 5 to 10 chin ups and they're flexing because I want them, I want our girls to be as proud of that accomplishment as a football player paying clean 275 for it. I want them to I want to showcase all of our athletes, and that's one of the things I try to do. So, best place to find me is on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, but I'm not nearly as active on there as I am on Instagram because that's where I try to just push all the stuff I have out.